Five in red in the middle. Ronaldo! The farewell may be approaching, but the legend is not finished yet.
The football world has spent more than 20 years trying to figure out Cristiano Ronaldo, yet every time it believes it has found the answer, the question somehow returns. Recently, Portugal dropped points and the reaction was immediate. Questions emerged about Ronaldo's age, his role in the team, and whether he could still perform at the level that made him one of the greatest footballers in history. Then came another brilliant performance from Lionel Messi, reigniting a rivalry that has shaped an entire generation of football.
Lionel Messi! He transcends time! Look at deflection high from range. Big deflection! Going in! That's two for Messi!
Social media exploded, debates returned, and once again Cristiano Ronaldo found himself at the center of the sport's biggest conversation. The remarkable thing is that none of this felt new. Football has been having the same discussion for almost 2 decades. Different year, different tournament, same story. People reach conclusions about Ronaldo only to watch him challenge them all over again. That is what makes World Cup Ronaldo such a fascinating figure. The tournament seems to magnify everything surrounding him. Every goal feels larger, every mistake feels heavier, and every performance carries consequences far beyond the 90 minutes on the pitch. Few players in football history have lived under that level of attention, and even fewer have carried it for as long as Cristiano Ronaldo. What makes it even more extraordinary is that the scrutiny did not begin after he became a superstar. It followed him from the very beginning. When Ronaldo arrived at Manchester United as a teenager, many saw incredible potential, but many others saw flaws. Critics questioned his decision-making, his style of play, and whether he could ever become the complete footballer that Sir Alex Ferguson believed he could be. As his career progressed, those questions never truly disappeared. They simply evolved. When he moved to Real Madrid for a world record transfer fee, people wondered if he could justify the price. When Lionel Messi began producing extraordinary numbers in Spain, comparisons became unavoidable. Every achievement was measured against another achievement. Every success was followed by another challenge. Every setback became a talking point. Yet the higher Ronaldo climbed, the greater the expectations became. Nowhere was that more evident than at the World Cup. Unlike club football, where a player has months to recover from disappointment, the World Cup offers no such luxury. Every moment matters. Every mistake is remembered. Every great performance becomes part of football history. For Ronaldo, that reality transformed the tournament into something unique. Whenever he stepped onto a World Cup pitch, he carried far more than his own ambitions. He carried the hopes of an entire nation and the expectations of millions watching around the world. By the time the 2006 World Cup arrived, Portugal believed they had found a player capable of leading them to football's greatest prize. The team reached the semi-finals, and it felt like the beginning of something special. Yet even then, the attention surrounding Ronaldo never disappeared. The higher he rose, the more closely he was examined. It was the beginning of a relationship that would define his entire World Cup journey. Expectations would grow, pressure would increase, and every tournament would add another chapter to one of football's most compelling stories. And as Ronaldo would soon discover, carrying the hopes of a nation can be every bit as demanding as carrying the ball itself. For most footballers, the World Cup is simply a tournament. For Cristiano Ronaldo, it became something far greater. It became a mission. As his reputation grew, so did the expectations surrounding him. He was no longer viewed as one of Portugal's best players. He became the symbol of an entire footballing nation. Every World Cup carried the hopes of millions, and every time Portugal stepped onto the world's biggest stage, those hopes seemed to rest on Ronaldo's shoulders. That burden followed him throughout his career. While fans saw the goals, celebrations, and records, they rarely saw the responsibility that came with them. Every tournament became another opportunity to achieve the one prize that continued to escape him. When Ronaldo arrived at his first World Cup in 2006, Portugal reached the semi-finals and the future appeared full of possibility. Many believed it was only a matter of time before he would lead his country to football's greatest achievement. Instead, it became the beginning of a long and complicated relationship with the competition. 4 years later, Portugal's journey ended against Spain. In 2014, injuries and disappointment overshadowed another campaign. By 2018, Ronaldo was no longer a rising star chasing greatness. He had already secured his place among football's elite. Yet even then, the World Cup continued to challenge him in ways no other competition could. His unforgettable hat-trick against Spain remains one of the most iconic performances in tournament history, a reminder of his ability to rise to the occasion when the pressure was at its highest. For a moment, it seemed as though that tournament might finally become his masterpiece. Instead, Portugal's journey ended sooner than expected, and the dream remained out of reach. Then came 2022, the tournament many believed represented his final realistic chance to lift the trophy that had defined so much of his international career. When Portugal were eliminated, the images of Ronaldo walking through the tunnel in tears spread across the world within minutes. It was a moment that transcended football, because people were not simply watching a defeat. They were watching a dream that had survived for nearly 2 decades slip away once again. Ronaldo had conquered England, Spain, and Italy. He had won Champions Leagues, Ballon d'Ors, European Championships, and broken records that once seemed untouchable. Yet the World Cup remained unfinished business. It had provided unforgettable moments, legendary performances, and memories that would last forever, but it had never delivered the ending he wanted most. Perhaps that is what makes World Cup Ronaldo's such a compelling story. The competition never simply showcased his greatness, it tested it. Every 4 years, it asked the same question: how much are you willing to sacrifice for this dream? And despite the setbacks, the heartbreak, and the disappointments that followed him, from tournament to tournament, Ronaldo always returned searching for another answer. Because for him, the World Cup was never just another trophy. It became the final challenge in a career defined by conquering almost everything else. By the end of the 2022 World Cup, it felt as though football had already decided how Cristiano Ronaldo's story would end. For more than 15 years, the sport had been defined by 2 names: Messi and Ronaldo. Together they dominated an era unlike anything football had ever seen, pushing each other to extraordinary heights while dividing fans across the world. Then Qatar changed the conversation. Lionel Messi lifted the World Cup, completing the one achievement many believed separated the 2 legends. Almost overnight, millions of people felt the debate was over. For the first time in a very long time, Cristiano Ronaldo found himself on the wrong side of football's biggest discussion. The criticism became louder, the questions became sharper, and when he left European football for Saudi Arabia, many saw it as confirmation that the most important chapters of his career had already been written. To his critics, the story was finished. The dream was over. Football had moved on. What makes Cristiano Ronaldo's story even more unusual is that he has always been judged by standards that almost no other footballer is expected to meet. Most players are allowed to have difficult games. Most players are allowed to miss chances, suffer setbacks, and quietly recover without the entire football world turning it into a debate. Ronaldo has rarely been given that luxury. For years, football stopped judging him like a normal player because his career stopped being normal. When another player scores 20 goals, people celebrate. When Ronaldo scores 20 goals, people ask why he did not score 30. When another player reaches a major tournament in the final years of his career, people admire the longevity. When Ronaldo does it, people question whether he should still be there. The expectations became so high that greatness stopped feeling extraordinary and started feeling expected. The rivalry with Lionel Messi only intensified that reality. For more than a decade, every achievement was compared, every trophy was measured, and every performance became evidence in football's biggest argument. A great night from Ronaldo became a discussion about Messi. A great night from Messi became a discussion about Ronaldo. Eventually, the conversation grew beyond football itself. Millions of fans chose sides, and every major tournament became another chapter in a debate that seemed impossible to escape. The World Cup magnified it even further. Unlike club football, where attention is divided across countless matches and competitions, the World Cup captures the focus of the entire sporting world. Every touch of the ball is analyzed. Every missed opportunity is replayed. Every result creates a new narrative. And because Cristiano Ronaldo has remained one of football's defining figures for more than 2 decades, he inevitably becomes the center of those narratives. A draw becomes a crisis. A missed chance becomes a headline. A disappointing performance becomes evidence that his career is declining. Yet the remarkable thing is that this pressure has often become one of Ronaldo's greatest strengths. Throughout his career, criticism has rarely pushed him backwards. More often, it has pushed him forward. The louder the doubts become, the more determined he seems to respond. Football questions him. Ronaldo answers. Football questions him again. Ronaldo answers again. It is a cycle that has repeated itself so many times that it almost feels like part of the story itself. The problem with writing off Cristiano Ronaldo is that people have done it before. They said he would never become the complete player Manchester United needed. They said he could never match Lionel Messi's brilliance in Spain. They said age would eventually slow him down and force him away from the highest level. Yet time after time, Ronaldo responded in the same way. Not through words, but through performances. That mentality has remained unchanged throughout his career. While others focus on what he has already achieved, Ronaldo has always focused on what comes next. That is why the recent criticism surrounding Portugal felt so familiar. A disappointing result immediately created new questions. Had age finally caught up with him? Could he still make the difference when his country needed him most? Then came another brilliant performance from Messi, reigniting comparisons that have followed both players for nearly 2 decades. Once again, social media exploded. Once again, opinions filled every corner of football. And once again, Cristiano Ronaldo found himself at the center of the conversation. Different tournament, different year, same situation. People doubted him, and Ronaldo responded the way he always has. On the pitch, Portugal returned, the pressure remained, and Ronaldo delivered another reminder of why writing him off has always been such a dangerous mistake. Yet perhaps the most fascinating part of this story has nothing to do with goals, records, or even trophies. It is the fact that after everything he has already achieved, Cristiano Ronaldo is still chasing something. Most athletes eventually reach a point where there is nothing left to prove. Ronaldo passed that point years ago. He has won the biggest trophies in club football, broken records that once seemed impossible, and secured a place among the greatest players the sport has ever seen. Yet he continues to pursue the one dream that has defined so much of his international career: the World Cup. Whether he eventually lifts that trophy or not, the pursuit itself has become part of his legacy. Because World Cup Ronaldo has never been just a story about success. It is a story about persistence. It is the story of a player who experienced triumph, heartbreak, pressure, criticism, and expectation on a scale few athletes could imagine, yet continued moving forward every time the dream slipped away. Long after the debates are forgotten, and long after the final whistle of his career has been blown, people will remember that determination. They will remember a player who refused to accept limits, refused to accept endings, and refused to stop believing there was another chapter left to write. And perhaps that is why we seriously have to talk about World Cup Ronaldo. Not because of what he has already done, but because after more than 20 years at the top of the game, he is still giving the football world something to talk about